in the Central and almost 11:30 in the East Coast. Well, normally I do feel good Mondays, but the next I mean, you guys, is quite serious. I'm doing back-to-back breaking news, as I can tell you right now. The first breaking news is happening in the state of North Carolina, um, where the North Carolina state prosecutors has decided, and this is why I know that this is corruption from the sheriff's department all the way down to the prosecutors. So the North Carolina state prosecutor has decided that the shooting death of Andrew Brown Jr. was justified. I basically is pissed about that. I'm pissed because the family of Andrew Brown Jr. saw that his hands was on the steering wheel. He basically, you know, obviously he didn't have no weapon. He didn't have no gun. He complied with officers, and now all of a sudden the prosecutor acting like a defense team right now. They acting like a defense team, and basically when you have a prosecutor, this situation remind you of Mike Brown, right? When prosecutors who basically is supposed to, you know, try to charge these officers, or basically trying to, basically try to charge the officers of manslaughter or murder, instead of basically defending what the officer is saying. So it looks to me, y'all, that this prosecutor who was supposed to do the law and say why these officers need to be charged and whatnot, now justified the shooting death of of Andrew Brown Jr. In my opinion, y'all, he need to resign. They need to resign his ass. Excuse my French. Because why would you want to prosecute a case and you're going to side with police officers? You're going to side with defense attorneys. In this case, the family of Andrew Brown Jr. saw the video of what happened. The body cam video of what happened to Andrew Brown Jr. almost within 20 minutes, and and according to the families of Andrew Brown Jr., he was still in this truck with his hands on the steering wheel. He didn't have no weapon, no gun, no nothing. Obviously, I already broke the story that attorney Benjamin Crump released this video showing how the sheriff's deputies acting like we're in Iraq, we're in Baghdad, driving in a truck, trying to ambush Andrew Brown Jr. And obviously, when you have stuff like this, when you have prosecutors who try to support what the defense attorney saying, that is a problem. That is a big, big problem. So, y'all, this to me shows you how corrupt the criminal justice system in the state of North Carolina is. Now, I know for a fact that people in Elizabeth City is going really crazy right now because they didn't think that the prosecutor is going to side with defense attorneys. So basically, in other words, they're buddy buddy. I scratch my back, you scratch yours type of agreement. So basically, the families of Andrew Brown Jr. might not even get justice at all. It just reminds you of what's going on with Mike Brown in Ferguson, when when the prosecutor said that his situation was justified. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go again with this corruption in the criminal justice system in the state of North Carolina. How prosecutors can agree with defense attorneys, and even I told you, even the family of Andrew Brown Jr. even said he wasn't. He was complying. He didn't basically didn't make any moves. His hands was on the steering wheel, and all of a sudden now they say, "Oh, well, what happened with Andrew Brown Jr. was justified." That's bullcrap, and they know it. So I'm going to keep you posted on that story. What's going to happen next with this situation, and I'm gonna tell you like this: if I were Andrew Brown Jr.'s family and their attorneys, I would grant an appeal with the quickness, because I know for a fact, excuse me, that prosecutors and defense attorneys are work hand in hand behind the scenes. And again, this is why a lot of black people don't trust the criminal justice system, because stuff like this, when you have prosecutors who's supposed to do, do it by the law, prosecute criminals who committed crimes. Now, these police officers killed this brother, shot him multiple times, killing him. And then the prosecutor had the audacity to say that this was justified. Man, get out of here with this, man. Get out of here. Now, another breaking news, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I posted that on my Facebook, my Instagram as well. Russia, this is international news. Russia has basically saying that, in other words, because of what's going on with Palestine, Russia is telling Israel they may go to war. I don't know if that's true. That's coming from a British newspaper. We don't know if that's true or not. But if that is true, y'all, it might end up in World War III, only because when you have Russia involved in this, when you have Israel involved with this, and keep in mind, both of them got nuclear weapons. Both of them. Then you have China getting involved in this. Then you have the United States getting involved in this, because we already know the United States and Israel are allies. We already know that. So when you have all these countries involved with nuclear weapons, it's World War III. And I'm sorry, it's getting ugly now. If this story is true, I just found that from a British newspaper. But if this story is true, that Russia and Israel might have a conflict soon, that if Russia and Israel might go to war, it's going to get ugly, because the United States is going to get involved with this, China's going to get involved with this, Iran, Pakistan, which by the way, Pakistan has nuclear weapons. You had all nuclear powers. It's gonna be a biggest mess ever. It's gonna be lots of lives lost. Every life is going. Everybody's gonna lose this war. And if you know President Vladimir Putin from Russia, this guy's crazy. He is serious about what he's saying. So if this story is true from this British newspaper that I found, and I want you guys to check me out on my Instagram at the_real_lions_did number 2, and all my stories and my news content will go on my Instagram, and some of them will also go on my fan base as well. But this to me is straight up serious when it comes to if Russia getting involved in this, because we already heard that the United States is still, that President Joe Biden already signed off to Israel, sending more weapons to them. And this is what I believe is why Russia is pissed off, because they say, well, wait a minute, why would you even sign weapons to Israel, knowing that the Palestinians is dying over there, and you still sending weapons to them? This is going to be a big mess. It's going to be a huge mess around the world, y'all. A huge mess, because when you get Russia involved in this, then the United States going to get involved in this because Israel is our allies. So when you bring the United States in this, when you bring Iran into this, when you bring China into this, and Pakistan, who's also got nuclear weapons, it's going to get ugly. It's literally going to get ugly, y'all. So those are the two back-to-back breaking news that I'm telling you guys right now. The first one, if y'all just joining my live, was the North Carolina State prosecutor was agreeing with defense attorneys that the shooting death of Andrew Brown Jr. was justified, which is ridiculous. And again, like I told y'all, that the prosecutor himself needs to resign because he shouldn't have been a prosecutor anyway. If you put Buddy, or if you have him and defense attorneys are in cahoots, we don't want you as a prosecutor, period. And the second breaking news, which is international news, that President Vladimir Putin in Russia, if this story is true, this comes from the British newspaper. If Russia getting involved with Israel and go to war with Israel, and both of these countries got nuclear weapons. This is going to get ugly. The United States is going to get involved in this. We already know China's going to get involved in this. Pakistan is also going to involved in this because it's going to be World War III. Everybody's going to be all of us going to be involved in this. This is getting really, really ugly. So y'all, that's all I'm gonna tell you guys right now. I'm probably going if any stories breaking out, I'll go back to Haps TV and YouTube and Twitter and give you more stories. But that's all I'm gonna have to say right now. But if I get more stories about until then, this is Lions Den signing off.